What happens when a championship-caliber franchise finds itself staring down a brutal reality check? The Boston Celtics sit at 8-7, clawing their way through the Eastern Conference playoff picture like a wounded animal refusing to surrender. But beneath the surface of this scrappy start lies a question that should hashtag are the Celtics about to gamble their future on the wrong big man? Here's the brutal truth that's keeping Boston fans up at night. Can a franchise that's built its identity on championship pedigree really afford to waste this critical window with half measures and financial gymnastics? As the Celtics navigate an 8-7 start that screams identity crisis, the front office faces decisions that could define the next half-decade of basketball in Beantown. And folks, the margin for error has never been thinner. Let's cut through the noise and examine what's really happening behind the scenes as Brad Stevens stares down a roster puzzle that would make a Rubik's Cube look simple. The Sabonis mirage. Why Boston's big man dreams don't add up. The whispers started innocently enough. Sacramento's looking to rebuild. Domantas Sabonis, the 29-year-old double-double machine, might be available. On paper, it sounds like the answer to Boston's prayers, doesn't it? A legitimate center who can grab boards, facilitate the offense, and provide that interior presence the Celtics have been desperately seeking since the glory days. But here's where fantasy crashes headfirst into financial reality. Sabonis commands $42.3 million this season. That number balloons to $45.4 million next year and peaks at a staggering $48.6 million in the final year of his deal. For a Celtics organization already drowning in luxury tax obligations, acquiring Sabonis isn't just expensive, it's potentially franchise crippling. The mathematics are merciless. To match salaries in any realistic trade scenario, Boston would need to part with either Derrick White or Jaylen Brown. Let that sink in for a moment. We're talking about trading proven playoff performers, guys who've been battle-tested in the crucible of postseason basketball, for a center whose defensive limitations raise serious red flags. Sabonis is undeniably talented. His court vision rivals some of the league's elite point guards, and his rebounding prowess would immediately address one of Boston's glaring weaknesses. But here's the uncomfortable question nobody wants to ask. Is he really an upgrade over White's two-way excellence or Brown's scoring versatility? The answer, when you strip away the desperation, is a resounding no. His defensive profile presents particularly troubling concerns. At 6'10", Sabonis lacks the lateral quickness to switch effectively on the perimeter, a non-negotiable requirement in today's playoff basketball. His strength in the paint is commendable, but modern championship teams exploit centers who can't defend in space. Just ask any team that's tried to hide defensive liabilities against elite offensive schemes in June. The Celtics didn't build this roster to settle for marginal improvements that come with catastrophic financial consequences. If Brown or White eventually depart, it should be for a transformative talent who checks every box, not a player who solves one problem while creating three others. The trade deadline dilemma, patience or panic. As December 15th approaches, the date when most players become trade eligible, speculation intensifies about Boston's intentions. Will they be buyers, sellers, or that most frustrating category, inactive observers? The conventional wisdom suggests the Celtics should be aggressive. They're positioned as a playoff team despite the early season inconsistency. The Eastern Conference remains wide open. Why not strike while the iron's hot? But conventional wisdom doesn't account for Jason Tatum's health situation and the franchise's precarious tax position. The smart money says Boston prioritizes trimming payroll over adding pieces this deadline. That might frustrate fans hungry for immediate gratification, but it's the prudent long-term play. However, and this is crucial, if an opportunity emerges that enhances both present competitiveness and future flexibility, Stevens won't hesitate. The key phrase there is future flexibility. Any deadline move must make sense beyond this season's playoff push. Anthony Simons represents Boston's most intriguing trade chip. His contract provides salary matching capability without gutting the core, and his shooting ability makes him attractive to teams across the league. Sam Hauser falls into a similar category. though his value might be slightly lower given his more limited skill set. Trading either for a big man who fits the timeline and stays beyond this season? That's the type of move that could materialize, but don't expect fireworks for the sake of making headlines. This front office has earned the benefit of the doubt when it comes to patience. The depth at the wing positions has been a pleasant surprise. Young, inexperienced players have stepped up admirably, suggesting that once Tatum returns, Boston might actually have legitimate rotation depth that alleviates some pressure to make desperate moves just to fill roster spots. Shooting, however, remains paramount. If Simons or Hauser gets moved, replacing that floor spacing ability becomes an off-season priority. Championship teams are built on three-point shooting in 2025, and the Celtics can't afford to regress in that department. The reunion tour that probably isn't happening nostalgia is a powerful drug in sports. It makes us remember the good times and forget the reasons players left in the first place. So when names like Kristaps Porzingis, Al Horford, and Robert Williams surface as potential reunion candidates for 2026 to 27, it's worth examining these scenarios with clear eyes. Porzingis, 0% chance. Let's not sugarcoat this. The Unicorn will be seeking significant money as an unrestricted free agent, and the Celtics simply cannot, and should not, commit major resources to a player entering his 30s with his injury history. Porzingis has been a valuable contributor when healthy, but banking on his health moving forward would be organizational malpractice. This ship has sailed, and both sides know it. Horford, maybe 5%, and that's being generous. Big, Al holds a player option for next season at the taxpayer mid-level exception. Unless Golden State implodes spectacularly and Tatum's return sparks championship aspirations in Boston, Horford isn't walking away from guaranteed money. He's in the twilight of his career, and financial security trumps sentimentality. The Warriors offered him an opportunity to chase another ring in a different environment. Barring catastrophe, he'll see that commitment through. Robert Williams III, this is where it gets interesting, about 15% interesting. Time Lord's health issues have been well documented and frustratingly persistent. If those problems continue plaguing him this season, he might find himself available for veteran minimum money. At that price point, Boston absolutely rolls the dice. Williams knows the system, provides elite rim protection when healthy, and could rebuild his value in a familiar environment. The challenge? Williams will rightfully seek more money in years if the market offers them. His camp understands that another injury-plagued season could devastate his earning potential, so securing long-term stability becomes paramount. Whether teams will offer that security, given his track record, remains the billion-dollar question. The Zubac pursuit and the bigger picture Ivica Zubac's name keeps appearing in trade speculation, and for good reason. The Clippers center represents exactly the type of player Boston needs. Defensively sound, affordable relative to his production, and under contract beyond this season. He's not flashy, but championship teams are built on players who do the dirty work without demanding the spotlight. The problem? Los Angeles has zero incentive to trade him this year. The Clippers aren't tanking. They're trying to maximize their window with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Zubac is integral to those plans. Unless something dramatic shifts in their season trajectory, he's staying put. This reality forces Boston to consider alternative strategies. Rather than chasing the perfect big man this deadline, the smarter play might involve trimming payroll while adding a medium-sized long-term contract that provides future trade flexibility. It's not sexy. It won't generate SportsCenter highlights, but it positions the franchise to make bigger moves when the timing is right. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If the Celtics don't add financial flexibility now, they'll be severely limited in what they can accomplish once Simon's deal expires. The only way to make major moves at that point would involve trading White or Brown, franchise cornerstones who shouldn't be available unless a generational talent becomes available. Stevens understands this calculus better than anyone. He's playing chess while others play checkers, thinking 3 moves ahead while the fan base demands immediate action. It's frustrating to watch, but it's also why Boston remains positioned as a perennial contender rather than a team that mortgages the future for fleeting success. The Jordan Walsh revelation: sometimes the best acquisitions don't come via trade. Sometimes they're already in your building, waiting for an opportunity to prove their worth. Jordan Walsh's emergence has been nothing short of stunning. This was a player who looked like a roster bubble guy after his third consecutive Summer League appearance. Buried in the rotation, dismissed by many as a developmental project who might never contribute meaningful minutes, Walsh has flipped the script entirely. His plus-minus numbers don't lie. The defensive impact he's provided in limited minutes has been remarkable, showcasing the type of versatility and instincts that can't be taught. For a front office constantly seeking cost-controlled talent, Walsh represents exactly the type of internal development that championship organizations rely upon. This is the surprise of the season, eclipsing even Jaylen Brown's puzzling lack of dunks or Sam Hauser's uncharacteristic missed free throw. Walsh has transformed from afterthought to legitimate rotation piece in the span of a month. That's organizational development done right, and it provides Boston with another chess piece as they navigate the complex roster puzzle ahead. The verdict: patience over panic as the Celtics stand at this crossroads. The temptation to make a splash move must be resisted. Sabonis isn't the answer. Panic trades at the deadline won't solve structural issues. Reunion tours with former players offer more nostalgia than substance. What Boston needs is patience, strategic thinking, and trust in the process that's brought them sustained success. The big man will come, but it needs to be the right big man at the right price under the right circumstances. Anything less is organizational malpractice. The championship window hasn't closed. Tatum's return will reinvigorate this roster. The young wings have shown they can contribute. The pieces are there for another deep playoff run if Stevens resists the urge to force solutions that don't exist. This is the long game. This is how sustainable success is built. And for Celtics fans who've watched this franchise navigate challenges for decades, trusting the process has usually paid dividends. What's your take on Boston's trade strategy? Should they be aggressive at the deadline or play the long game? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to smash that like button if you want more no-nonsense Celtics analysis that cuts through the hype and delivers the truth.